Hello, I'm Steve with Eberspaecher. Today we're going to go over a visual inspection on a hydronic heater. Let's start with the basics. For the burner operation, fuel supply, combustion air intake, exhaust, power supply, and connections. We need to keep these things in check for the burner to operate properly, essentially maintaining the correct air-fuel ratio. Next is the system operation. It's all about the coolant throughput, or the flow of coolant through the heater and all the hoses and components. I always compare our heaters to a diesel engine. Obviously, they're much smaller, so some of the things that you think may not affect the engine could have an impact on our heater and how well it operates. First, let's take a look at the fuel supply. The fuel metering pump should be properly mounted at a 15 to 35 degree angle. The electrical connection is the output side of the pump and should be at the top. If the fuel metering pump is mounted flat or upside down, it will overfuel the heater or could trap air, causing the piston to cavitate. We also need to make sure that the fuel line and wire harness are properly supported and there's enough slack to allow for cab movement. In our examples, example number 1 shows an older application. Fuel metering pump is properly mounted, lines and wire harness look good. Example number 2 is a brand new installation. They did not install the bracket that would hold the pump at the proper angle. Next, we'll take a look at the combustion air intake and exhaust. The length and number of bins in both of these combined will affect how well the air flows through the burner. We want to make sure there's neutral air pressure so the end of the pipes are away from the direction of travel. They should be pointed downward at a 15 degree angle. They should be properly supported without any low spots or any tight bends. Let's take a look at some examples. On the combustion air intake, I have the factory installed rubber boot. This should be at the 7 o'clock position. If it is in the 9 o'clock position, it needs to be rotated downward. This will prevent debris and road spray from entering the intake and getting into the fan motor. On the fail side, I have the flexible air intake coming out to the outside of the cab, and it has a low spot in it. This will collect the debris and condensation and cause a restriction. The exhaust should extend past the back of the cab and be angled downward. If it is not supported properly, or if it is too long, it can uncoil and break off, as in our other example. This is broken off underneath the cab, and now I have exhaust that could potentially get inside the truck. Next, we'll look at the power supply, wiring, and connections. Make sure that the wire is properly sized for the length of the run and the amperage draw. We want to check all the connections, make sure they're secure and clean, and we want to make sure the wire harnesses are properly routed and supported. The heaters are voltage sensitive, so we need to make sure the batteries are properly maintained. In our example, we have the positive terminal. It's been cleaned and treated. Everything looks good. On the fail side is the negative terminal. The insulation was stripped too far back. The terminal was not cleaned. This will eventually have some corrosion and will cause operational issues with the heater. Next, we're going to look at the system. The flow of the coolant through the heater, hoses, and all components. I'm looking for coolant leaks. If the system is hot and I'm losing coolant, when it cools down, it will suck in air. If there is air trapped in the system, it will cause the heater to overheat and shut down. I want to make sure that all the hoses are properly supported. There's no dips, no tight bends, or no kinked hoses. And I also want to check the weep holes on the heater. If I see coolant leaking out the weep holes, that's a sign that I've got an internal leak in the heater. The heater needs to be removed for inspection. That's the quick visual inspection, and it literally only takes a couple minutes to do. I'll walk up to the truck, find my exhaust, follow that up to the heater, then I'll check the air intake. I'll follow from the fuel line from the heater to the fuel metering pump and the fuel source. And I'm going to inspect my wire harnesses, and then I'm looking for coolant leaks. This will help me to identify issues that are going to affect the proper operation of the heater. These items are often overlooked and are root cause issues. Always conduct a visual inspection before working on a heater. Thank you.